And you have degenerate habits, you got two choices. One, you can lower the rate of degeneracy in your life just marginally. Some doctors seem to do that. A large fraction of doctors don't seem to lower their degenerate habits at all. What they do is just they excise them from the workday and they just put them into the evenings and weekends. Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for RP Strength. Today we're going to try something a little different. You guys had a lot of questions and have a lot of questions for us all the time. We perused some sources, comments, etc., and we got a few questions. We actually did ask on the channel, do you guys have questions for Dr. Mike? And a bunch of people said yes. A bunch of people submitted questions. So I'm going to try to answer some questions today. If you guys like this sort of format, this segment, well, let us know. And then maybe we'll do it again. So Scott, do I have to say who these people are or just like ask the question?
The questions will come up on screen.
So people will know. Excellent. I'm not going to read screen names that are nonsense. All right. Question. Do you have anything to say about training and maybe life in general with a naturally very low testosterone level? Yes, I do. You have to figure out, and there may not be any approximately easy way to do this, what your androgen sensitivity is. Because if your testosterone is very low, you might be very sensitive to testosterone in your muscle cells, et cetera, and then you actually function like you have very high testosterone or normal testosterone, even though it's very low. How testosterone affects you is a function of two things. One is how high is your testosterone level, and two is what is your androgen receptor sensitivity in the general cells of your body. And if especially your muscular androgen receptors are really interested in testosterone, then you're going to be doing really well even at low levels. But here we'll assume you have average receptor density and affinity for testosterone. And thus with low testosterone, very low testosterone levels, you're going to be a little different. You're going to be having a little bit of a tougher time getting that grrr kind of motivation to go do difficult things like workout. So with low testosterone levels, you'll have to get a little bit more insightful on strategies to inspire you to go have hard workouts. With lower testosterone levels, it's going to be tough to push really hard towards the end of sets. So there are many, many ways you can increase your relative effort during sets, and that's probably something to look into with low testosterone. Your fatigue will accumulate quite rapidly through the workout. So you might want to take a break for a few minutes here and there between exercises, get a drink of water, walk around the gym for a second, get your swag back, and then go and hit it versus just like people with really high testosterone. They just cram, and then they die and then they get jacked and they wake up and they're jacked and not dead anymore. But in any case, you might have to take a little bit of a pace. Your volume total over the week, how many total sets you're doing for your whole body, might have to be a little lower. So start on the low end, try to work up, but if you can't recover, a lot of that's just limited by testosterone levels. So maybe with lower testosterone levels, you want to lift kind of 3 or 4 days a week for maybe an hour at a time, maybe not like 5 or 6 days a week with an hour and a half each time, because that is possible and you might get great results, but ease in first and then go up after that. And then another one is to make sure that you have couched your expectations appropriately. If you're trying to be the most jacked lean thing of all time, you're probably not going to do it with low testosterone. Can you make great gains and have awesome health? Yes. If you have low testosterone and you're not going to do testosterone replacement therapy to get it up to a higher normal range, which is totally fine, make sure you're not lifting too hard, too crazy, too much. Really prioritize recovery and of course sleep and of course stress management. But also have goals for your lifting that are very small, very minimal. And if you accomplish them, and when you accomplish them, you can set a next goal that's a little bit bigger, and so on and so on and so on. When you have lots of testosterone, man, you can just kind of crush out a lot in fitness and it just sort of happens. But with lower testosterone levels, you have to be kind of a little bit reserved about how Napoleonic you want to be about your goals. So consider talking to your doctor about TRT is probably my number one recommendation on that. All right, next question. What did you do before YouTube? Good question. I was actually instantiated by the YouTube platform. I'm an illusion. I don't exist in real life. I'm only pixels. Pixels. Sorry, it does that every now and again. On a serious note, I did most of the stuff I do now, except for YouTube. So I was a professor at multiple universities. I was a strength and conditioning coach. I helped to start RP and helped to run that company. And so that's a big deal. We have tons of coaches that coach for us. We launched the Diet Coach app without YouTube, and I grew YouTube in part to prep, some visibility for the RP Hypertrophy app. But, before YouTube, we were already working on that app. I wrote a bunch of books. I think I've written like 5 books, maybe more. You can Google them. Did tons of podcasts, and just did my usual thing that I always do, trying to educate people about how to get jacked and strong and lean and all that stuff, but not on YouTube. And so once we got on YouTube for about a year and a half, it was like kind of like, Yeah,
closer to 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 years we were kind of doing it, and we had great response and great fans, and on the lower end of follower number or subscriber number. And then it started getting bigger and then bigger and then bigger, and then just got completely out of hand. And that's where we're at now. So yes, all the same stuff before YouTube. Now I just I do YouTube things. Scott, what's a YouTube thing that YouTube people do?
Go to Dubai and rent Lambos.
I live in Dubai now, inside of a Lamborghini shaped house. How long are you married, and what are your thoughts about having a successful relationship? Oh boy, way out of my expert area on that one. I can tell you a lot about having a not successful relationship. I've been married for I don't know how long. I think 5 or 6 years. Something like that. I don't keep track. I don't think my wife keeps track either. I've been with my wife for like 10 years total. And only part of that was she my wife. That's how weddings work, you understand? So not too long, I guess, in the grand scheme, but 10 good years of a relationship is pretty dope. What are my thoughts about having a successful relationship? There's a lot to say there. And I don't know much, but I know a little bit. I think if you're already in a relationship, it's a little bit different conversation than if you're not in one yet. If you're not in a relationship yet, when you look for people to potentially enter into long-term relationships with, the absolute most critical ingredient is your degree of compatibility and agreeableness with each other. If you're generally into similar shit, or if they're into different shit, but you totally support it and you kind of watch from the sidelines, like let's say they're into some different TV and you're into some different TV, but you watch each other's TV and you're like, ooh, I never watched this. This is fun. Versus if you really just have kind of different hobbies and interests, and also you're quite disagreeable with each other, where you're like, I don't want to do your thing. I want to do my thing. And they're like, well, I don't like your thing. Let's do my thing. And that doesn't end well. So if you can find someone that basically you're really good at just chilling with, that's the number one ingredient of a good relationship. Sure, shit is not sex. It's not how they look. It's not how many other people like them. It's not the romance. It ain't all that shit. Because all that stuff is fun, but it constitutes only a small total fraction of a whole relationship. So that's a big thing. Choose someone that you can chill with, and that's number one ingredient. Another thing is choose someone that has roughly similar or at least agreeable goals to you long term. If you're on the same place with, are we going to have children? How many? Where are we going to live? What kind of religion are we going to raise our children in or not? So on and so on and so on. If you generally agreed before you get into a real serious relationship with someone on these kind of life priority things, it shit really just kind of sorts itself and the problems are really minor. If you have cataclysmic differences, like you categorically do not want children and your significant other wants 5, at least 4, it's going to be a tough time to reconcile that. So that's another big deal. And the third thing I'll say about relationships is how to act once you're inside of a relationship. That came out totally wrong. Inside of one. I guess there's some of that involved. I wouldn't know. And for that, there's many, many tips to give. And I do have a channel currently called Mike Israel Making Progress. Give that a look. Maybe I'll throw it up. And I do give all kinds of wacky, out of my depth life advice on that one, but it's like hour-long videos. So you get the whole voice ASMR, whatever the hell you weirdos are into. Am I right? All jokes. But there I talk a lot more about this stuff, but super, super quick. What can you do in a relationship while you're in it to make it good and successful is really kind of ask yourself two questions. Is what we're going to do today, my significant other and I, is it stuff that, to the degree that we have control over it, you got to go to work, you got to pay your bills, all that shit, it's not up to you really. To the degree that we have control over it, is it stuff that's going to make both of us, to a large measure, feel really happy? And there are ways to tilt that where you can have a day or two where what you do makes you really happy, but your significant other is pretty happy, at least to see you be really happy and maybe even for their own involvement. You can dip the other way where you do something or let them do something, approve of them doing something that's much more for them than for you, but you love to see them happy and smiling, and you might even do it too, might not. Or you find things mutually that you love to do together. And this can just be sit on the couch and talk, give each other massages, watch some TV, go out to dinner, go for a walk, go on a trip, hang out with people. Everything falls under this kind of categorization. If every day you look ahead and every week you look ahead, and I'll bring this from a masculine perspective, like as a man, as a husband, it is important to me that my wife is having a good time and is taken care of and feels like she's taken care of. So I'll make sure that anything we're doing in those next several days, at least she doesn't hate it. Possibly, hopefully she loves it. And we do architect our lives like that together. We're on a team, just one team, just the two of us. And we're going to pick our days to get what we need to get done. But in our relationship time together, we're going to make sure everyone's having as much fun and pleasantry as possible. Because you can choose to do a lot of stuff. But if you choose the stuff that at least no one hates and most people love, and if the person who loves you loves to see you really happy, they can sort of let you do your thing a bit, them their thing a bit. All that is really, really good stuff. You make a relationship awesome every single day and hour and minute of the decisions you make about what to do, how to spend your time, how to talk to the person with respect and love and all that stuff. Every single day, you plan to make the relationship good by doing good stuff and staying away from stuff that gets you guys into a heated argument every single time. So it's my stupid, probably wrong summary about relationships. All right, next one. Can you tell something more about your struggle with attention disorder? Any advices to ADHD diagnosed people? Learn English. I'm kidding. It's not wrong, but yeah. Attention deficit disorder. So super quick, I could ramble about this for way too long. Maybe I'll do it on the other channel or something. I was diagnosed at age 14 with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, inattentive type, not hyperactive type. I was never hyper. And I was diagnosed and then summarily placed on medication, the first and only medication I ever successfully took for attention deficit disorder was Adderall. I took Adderall through most of my high school and about a third of my college years. The Adderall side effects versus main effects profile began to really deteriorate for me when I was in early college, so I had to stop taking it and then failed out of school, came back to school, my brain worked a little bit better, and then I started doing shit without the medication and then finished undergrad, got the master's, got the PhD, became a professor, all that stuff, no medication at all. And my attention deficit disorder was so bad that it made it difficult for me to do regular academic subjects because I couldn't keep as many ideas in my head at the same time and focus on them as was necessary to do certain logical operations. So for example, like I really liked to look at maps and read maps. I loved geography, but I couldn't focus long enough on what I loved in order to actually have it be maximally productive and fun. I loved science and mathematics, but I was doing math at like 4 grade levels below me. I was like the worst math student in my high school, probably, when I got on attention deficit disorder medication on Adderall, because I couldn't hold enough ideas and concepts in my head at once to process mathematics, especially at the algebra and above level. And so I was just no good at it. Like I was terrible at it. So that's a very, very high degree of attention deficit. Most people don't have that. A lot of people talk about ADHD and they talk about it from the perspective of like, man, when I like something, I mean, I got so focused on it. People are like, whoa. And that is a characteristic of ADHD from what I understand, though I'm no expert on the subject. But I never got that shit. I got you love this and you still can't focus enough on it to really feel like you're doing due diligence and learning it and understanding it. So for me, getting on medication was like being 6 beers drunk my whole life and finally waking up sober one day. I took the medication. I had no expectations for it at all. I just got used to me being really terrible at school. Like I was the worst at school. And I went to class and the teacher started drawing equations on the board. It was algebra. I was failing it at the time, like 16 or 30% fail, not 59% fail. And he asked a question about how do you solve this equation? And I was like, I know that's the answer, C or B or 3 or whatever. And he's like, correct. I was like, okay, odd. He asked another question. I was like, no one's getting this. Not that tough. That is the answer. And he goes, correct. And I just did that the rest of class. And it came up after, and I was like, I'm going to be your best student. And he's like, all right, kid, the hell are you supposed to say that? He's known me for 7 months and I just failed the entire time. And one day I had like a crazy streak and I'm like doing it. So he's like, whatever. I ended up becoming not arguably the best math student in my entire high school in my senior year and sort of top certain number of math students in the state of Michigan because I did super well on a super fancy test. So that was dope. And that was because my attention span could finally expand to have a context window that was enough for me to think about stuff. So my struggle with attention deficit disorder was really intense. And medication and then summarily not needing it and being okay without it were just absolutely life-changing events for me. And that's kind of my little backstory. As far as recommendations, I have a ton, but I'll give you one because I can't blab about this forever here. Make sure that you're architecting your study and work environment absolutely to your needs, and do not ever feel like you have to study and work like other people who don't have attention deficit disorder do. For example, when people take their laptop, and I'm not judging, I think this is wonderful. When people take their laptops to Starbucks and like work, and they're like, I love the ambient noise. You definitely don't have ADD. I'm kidding, maybe they do, but they probably don't. You put someone at ADD with Starbucks, any little cup rings, a little kid cries out, a little crinkle of a wrapper, and you're like, too much stuff. People go to libraries together to study. I never got dick out of that. Still don't. I know I don't have a ton of attention span. And nowadays I've practiced doing so much work and so much meditation that my attention span is decent. It's not crazy, but it's decent. It's good enough. But still, even for me today, I want it to be as good as possible. So what I do is when I do work or I study, I architect my environment to bring the extraneous factors down to almost nothing so that my deep work is the only thing for me to focus on. So what I do is sometimes I'll have no music on. Sometimes I'll do some kind of like mood music, kind of ambient, cyberpunk, all kinds of stuff that, by the way, ambient cyberpunk, not just one or the other. There's tons of really great stuff that is just sort of background music that doesn't have a whole lot of content for you to think about. Even that on my not so great attention days is too much for me. So I'll just work in pure silence or like a fan or some kind of white noise for background noise. I'll do that. I'll have one thing in front of me. I'll have a very well charted out schedule of things I'm going to do, priority lists and indentations for outlines and bullet points so that I'm very focused on the task at hand. I finish that. I finish the next thing. I finish the next thing. I'm done. I have to organize my structure because someone, especially with ADD, with no work structure, I just kind of start working. You're like, I'm sorry, what the hell is this all chaos and nonsense? Try to give yourself the best advantage on reducing the noise and improving your organizational skills. Here's another one. My favorite place in the entire world is my office. It's in my basement. It's one room with nothing in it except a computer monitor, a computer, and a chair for me to sit at, some podcast stuff. And that's it. It's just one room. There's nothing else in the room. There's nothing else to see. There's nothing on the walls. There's no motivational posters. There's nothing in there. And so my ability to focus exclusively on what I have in hand, and by the way, I don't do a crap load of tabs or I just open up a new screen and just put whatever I have in front of me, diligence in executing as much work as possible with as high an attentive environment as possible, which means as few distractions and as much organization as possible. The last tip I have for you, work in sprints. You get as a person with attention deficit disorder, it's more difficult for you to keep your brain coming back to attention. It's fatiguing. So some people without attention deficit disorder might be able to work 4 hours with full concentration, more or less the whole time. If you have attention deficit disorder, maybe you need to do 1 or 2 hours and take like a 5 to 10 minute break. Go walk around, have a drink, walk outside, check your phone, stretch, move around. Feeling good? All right. Then you go and do another 1 or 2 hours. Nobody gives a shit how many hours you work on in sprints. No one cares. What they care about is the job done at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the end of the month. And you can do that just by breaking your shit up into sprints in a highly concentrated environment. We have organized all your work very effectively. That's huge recommendations for me. I have like a trillion more and a bunch of fun stories about how I used to be an imbecile idiot. Is that politically correct? Anyway, great question. On to the next. Everyone asks Dr. Mike exercise questions, but no one exercises any thoughts on how Dr. Mike is. Frowny face. How are you, Dr. Mike? Scott, that one hit the feels, bro. Is that my shit? Scar 444 _ Thanks for asking. That's really nice. Look, I have 2 sides of the coin. I just recently had to give up bodybuilding competition for a few years because I got to focus on work. And do I love that? No, it's kind of lame. And it's kind of sad. It makes me sad and has made me sad for the past week or so. So that's not fun. But I do remind myself on occasion that I never in a million years thought I would be this successful at anything and this well compensated. So I can't ever feel too bad about myself. You guys ever hear millionaires bitching? Just tune them out. Shut up. Go look at your money, you rich asshole. That's what I tell myself in the mirror. Mr. Nick Shaw hasn't sent any money yet, but he says it's going to happen anytime now. So yes, I'm currently a little bit more sad than average, but I always pick up pretty well. And so in a few days here, the week or 2 at most, I'll be chipper as my old self. And then fellas, I got it made because I have an incredible life and every single minute of it I'm ultra grateful for. And I'm it's crazy. It's the dream. It's not my dream. I never came up with any shit, but somebody's dream and I'm living in it. It's a cool dream. In any case, thank you so much for asking. And listen, I hope you're doing well as well. So, all right. Next, 46 years old. I'm 5'8" and weigh 148 pounds. I'm basically skinny fat. I want to go back to the gym, but I haven't been in 8 years. I purchased the RP app, but since I haven't been to the gym, I'm going to look like a weakling. How do I overcome my anxiety and paranoia if people who are far larger than me judging me for not being able to bench press, not being able to do a pull-up or squat less than my body weight? Then again, I guess I can't control people from judging me either. Oh boy, we can and almost certainly will do a whole breakdown of this at some point on the channel in its own video. A lot of things to say, and it's really all just great news. First thing, you are wildly overestimating, in the best way possible, the number of people that at any deep or even shallow level give a flying about what you're doing at the gym. Most, especially people that are meatheads, when Jared and I are at the gym, guess who we're thinking about? Number one, we're all self-obsessed, insane people. How much vanity do you think it takes to pump life-threatening amounts of steroids into your ass so you can have like one extra glute striation or something? I ain't thinking about you at all. I see you on the bench. I don't even see a bench. I don't even see you. I'm like, man, my pecs kind of feel good today, brother. Let's get the bench workout in. So most of the people you think are judging you, they're not. Here's another thing. Sometimes those people judge you just because they have more muscle and more strength. It doesn't mean they're better in some grand sense than you at anything other than being more jacked. And if you talk to them, a lot of times you get a real interesting realization that you were elevating people on a pedestal. We do this with attractive women. We do this with jacked men, where just because someone's pretty hot or pretty jacked, we go, oh, they must have this other wonderful stuff going on for them and this great life. You talk to enough people, you'll meet me at the Arnold, the Olympia, you're going to realize real quick, you got being jacked, usually you got not shit at all. And sometimes you're a cool person and sometimes you just kind of suck. So jacked people are just jacked and that's the only thing they got going for you. So don't ever look at like, oh man, like they're special and I'm not. F them. Literally, jacked people are a dime a dozen and some of them are cool, some of them are not. There's just normal people. You could get just as much shame pointed at yourself if you let people with purple shirts judge you, but everyone else you're like, who cares? Like they're just about as valuable on average as people who are jacked. So that's a big deal. And the other thing is some of these people will judge you. And so what? So first of all, they're never going to tell you shit unless they come up to you and try to give you advice, which is nice. But most of the time, people think all kinds of weird thoughts in their head. And some of the thoughts in retrospect they own and some they're like, ugh. Like I'll judge people if I'm having a bad day. I'll judge everyone. I'll walk by and be like, that guy's dumb. That bitch is hoe. And I don't mean any of that. I'm just in a pissy mood. And if someone's like, did you really mean that, what you just thought? I'm like, no, God, no, man. I'm just pathetic. Just let me go in my bedroom and cry for a while. And so most people at some point or another will judge you and it just doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, what can they say? Things that are only true. Oh, that guy's 5'8" and he weighs like 150 pounds. That's it. So all you have at the gym really is the same kind of noise you would have anywhere else, mostly only in your head. There's all these other people judging me. Well, you don't know what they're saying. You don't know what they're thinking. This all just pretend. And most of them aren't even judging it. So even that about that, you're even mostly wrong. So your job is only one, is to go into the gym and just do your best to get more fit. And I got the funniest comeback for you. If someone tries to dunk on you, this won't happen, or diss you, or if you do it in your own head. If they're like, man, you're pretty weak. Easy response. Ready? What you think I'm in here, bro? I need to get stronger. It lights out. Debate's over. There's much more of an argument for insanely jacked people to not be in the gym. If I see someone who's got like muscles on their face, I'm kind of like, why are you still here, bro? Mission accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Houston, we launched the rocket. Get out of the gym. You're there because you want to take your physique to the next level. You have nothing to be ashamed about. You have no one to be scared of. You just go to the gym and do your goddamn thing. And a worst case is someone's like, oh, guy's small. You're like, I know, I am small, but I'm here to get a little more jacked. What could they possibly say to that? Nothing. And almost all jacked people at the gym are actually super supportive and really, really nice, by the way. So come talk to them. Be like, you fellas have any bicep tips? Jack dudes love talking about that shit till they're blue in the face. Anyway, give that some thought. All right. What does it take to become a doctor or achieve anything worthwhile? I am 18 and really want it, but snap back to my old degenerate habits. Believe it or not, doctors have a ton of degenerate habits that they don't even walk away from. What does it take to become a doctor? So I'm not a medical doctor. I wouldn't know, but my wife is, so I would know. In my case, I have a PhD. Similar idea. I'm going to say something that's not remotely kind of like instructive, but there is a little bit of a philosophical gem in there, I promise. You just got to do the work, right? Let me tell you exactly and only who is a doctor. People that went to undergrad for usually chemistry or biology, pre-med curriculum. Some people did some post-bac work, master's program. Some people went straight to medical school. All doctors went to medical school. All PhDs go to graduate school. Whatever assignments are given to them, they complete well and on time. I didn't say perfectly because you can get through med school and grad school not doing anything perfectly, just doing it good enough. And then you finish your dissertation, which is just a matter of also doing the work in grad school. You finish your medical examinations in medical school, which is a matter of studying, doing the work, doing the test. And then all of a sudden, they call you an MD or DO or PhD. Here's a certificate. Out of here. That's what I was told at my PhD dissertation defense. And that's it. So if you're looking at some kind of grand universal truth you have to kind of align yourself with to get this magic to become a doctor, that shit ain't it at all. You just got to sign up for the right program and give yourself the work and see if two things happen. One, do you like the work? Like if you don't like to learn chemistry and biology in a pre-med curriculum, sure as shit not going to like being a doctor because it's all chem and bio all the way down. And two, do you have a knack for it? Can you do it? If you're like in Chem 101 and you are trying, bro, and you like it too, it's interesting, but it's so goddamn hard. But then you go to your like English literature, or your writing class, your media class, it's just a star and the shit just like comes to you out of the matrix and you're like, I don't know, I'm a savant. Maybe being a doctor is going to be like an uphill battle. It's going to kind of suck. And if you're brilliant, sharp, and all that shit, you can do the work, but you hate it. Would you do that for? A bunch of people asked me in undergrad, like, so I got to be a pretty good student. They're like, why aren't you pre-med? I'm like, I don't want to help sick people. I know it sounds up. And I think that there's an unreal, maybe one of the most beautiful things in the world is a doctor helping a sick patient. But that doctor, they ain't going to be me. I want to do this. I want to help people get jacked and strong and all that stuff. I've wanted that for a while. So if you want that, hey, a PhD is a thing, but you got to get through undergrad first. Get through a kinesiology degree. So basically, if you want to be a doctor, you just got to do a few things. Sign up for the kind of classes and degree program that you think is going to get you there. See if it's something you can keep up with and do well at, and see if it's something you like. If all those 3 stars align, you just do all the work that they ask of you. And trust me, medical school and PhD programs are really straightforward. They tell you, oh, do this, and you're good to go. That's it, man. That's it. And you have degenerate habits, you got 2 choices. 1, you can lower the rate of degeneracy in your life just marginally. Some doctors seem to do that. A large fraction of doctors don't seem to lower their degenerate habits at all. What they do is just they excise them from the workday and they just put them into the evenings and weekends. So if you're into some real degenerate shit, do that shit on your off time. But when you come to work and you come to school, you do your goddamn best to get the work done. And then you can have 18 beers and have sex with 80 prostitutes shortly thereafter. I don't know what kind of degeneracy into. I'm not speaking from experience. Much. What is your opinion on turkesterone? So turkesterone is a type of compound that's theorized to have testosterone-like effects on muscle growth, fat loss, etc. And it does in fact have those effects, but at the teeniest, tiniest levels that are very difficult to measure and have almost no practical significance in the real world to your actual outcome. It's like getting a supercharger in your car that makes your car go 2 miles an hour faster. You can install it. Someone's like, you got that XYZ 600 supercharger. Like, yeah, man, hold on. He's like, that kind of sounds the same. Like, I know, man, but it's in there. It's doing shit. He's like, well, at least it was free. Like, it was $9,000. I'm an idiot. I got to go return this stupid charger that does almost nothing. So turkesterone, unfortunately, does almost nothing. Sorry. But you can buy real or fake turkesterone from other fitness influencers and also get nothing out of it. Well, wait, but you'll have less money. And that's good. Money's the root of all evil after all. Oh, Scott, this one is really just for you. I don't know how this got in here. Natalie Portman or Megan Fox? Oh, what you mean, or, big homie? Were we in a drought? Bring them both over. What's up, ladies? There's all kinds of shapes that involve numbers that my girls is going to be trying to get into. You feel me? That we got rock, no. Paper, no. Scissors, we doing that. And all kinds of other stuff that's going to get me banned to talk about. But for real, if I had to pick, legit, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough. Well, like, Natalie Portman seems like a sweet girl and a pretty girl. I never conceived of her as like raunchy hot. And also she's Jewish. So like if her and Megan Fox were standing together and I was single somehow and I walked up to him, I just raised my fist to Natalie and be like, what up, family? And she, you know, all Jews know it, and just knocked the fist. What's up? She's like, how you doing? I'm like, man, the Rothschilds was just not getting them checks in on time. She's like, oh, no, it's just so annoying. And then I turned to Megan Fox and I'm like, yo. She's like, what? Don't you what me? She's like, sorry. Don't apologize, girl. You good? We good? What's up? Not like that, not violent, but you know what I'm saying? She needs to know that your boy's coming here with that shit. Megan Fox can stay. That's what's up. So I'd be like, Natalie, peace, deuces, family. And she's like, deuce. And I'm like, Megan, let's go. And she's like, namaste. And we get the out. Where do we go? Who the hell knows? It'd be my first time with a woman. And then, Scott, what's Megan Fox been in that Transformer shit?
Yeah.
Yo, Transformer. Megan Fox with that robot body, girl, don't, you know what I'm saying? I take her home, we kind of doing some shit. She's like, you're good at this. I'm like, I know, but I know you're a robot. She's like, what the f-? You're like, Papa, show me your true form. And she like transforms into robot self. She's like, you'll never like me like this. I'm so ugly. I'm like, Megan, don't you even start. Must start sucking on them mechanical toes. Anyway, they're going to get canceled. Next question. Mechanical toes. Even that turned me on. Is that good or bad? I can't tell. How to handle, Scott, you, man. How to handle chafe of thighs, gooch. Gooch can chafe?
You have the answers.
I like this crotchial region. Ass crack. When large and trying to get 3,000 plus steps a day as the bare minimum, 4 to 7 days per week. We're really lowballing here. That's good. That's good. We don't want to highball for no reason. Okay. This is going to be kind of trippy to hear, but when I was at around 180 to 190 pounds, I had a real nasty chafing problem because my adductors got so big finally that they started to rub together. And that was annoying. I do have some tips. One, God made baby powder for a reason. Well, the reason was to make the Johnson & Johnson Corporation a lot of money. But the also thing that happened was that it works. You can baby powder your shit. That works great. You can also, if you're really in a bad space and you need to do some cardio like on a treadmill, you can wear spandex biker shorts underneath your regular shorts. Just cock out, just wear them normal. And then if you pull them up, they slip, slide again against one another and you're good to go. That's if the chafing is a intermittent thing. You don't plan on being that body weight for a long time. If you're going to be around that body weight or even higher, like if you're gaining weight and you're starting to chafe and you're like, well, I'm trying to become a mass monster. What the hell is this? Yeah, use baby powder, usually, but not always. Yeah, use the biker shorts, usually, but not always. And after a while, your skin on your inner thighs, funny enough, loses all of its hair. Yes, it's true. And it takes a little interesting look to it, like a tone. This is always scratching. It just doesn't bother you anymore. The skin gets really, really resilient. And then you can thigh chafe till you're blue in the face and nobody cares. So my thighs rub against each other all the time. And they just never chafe anymore because I've been jacked for so long. Now I'm about to size down a little bit to, 180 to 200 or something like that. And maybe I'll get into some chafing and I'll really hope I look back and see my answer to my own question. But hey, listen, much love to you. And I hope the chafing thing can resolve itself. Will you be coming back to the anonymous gay men support group? We miss you. Shit, I miss you fellas too. You feel me? I was just going to try to act tough and that's what was going to work. I miss you guys. Thursdays were amazing. My psychiatrist said, since I'm trying to stay true to my wife, I put this in a very specific way I thought was a little off-putting. He said, you can't keep going to Gay Men Anonymous meetings and just train wrecking everyone there. Yeah, that one guy was weird, the pink jacket, and so you didn't hit him up. But 19 people every Thursday, Mike, this is not what they call monogamy. And listen, if there's cute gay guys around, what am I going to do? Say no? So to me, it ended up being like an obese person who's struggling with their weight going to an all-you-can-eat buffet. I'm just not going to go anymore, man. So I miss you guys. I love you. Please love each other. Please send me videos. Just trying to stay true. One day at a time. Dan, you were good. I'll see you hopefully soon. No, just kidding. But I will.
There is no avoiding hard training if you want to grow. But if you want to grow the most, your training needs to be hard and smart. RP Hypertrophy app will make sure you're progressing on track, monitoring and adjusting your workout at all times. So for all that work you're doing, you can be sure you're getting the best results.
Well, what are your thoughts on AI research summaries? Do you think AI is at a level where it can effectively and accurately parse the data? Depends on when you watch this video. If you catch this video in 2027, 2028, oh man, almost certainly. Currently, as it's filmed in 2024, AI research summaries do a very good job of summarizing research, especially if they're powered by some of the more robust models like GPT-4o, the new Claude model, shit like that. But they sometimes miss a little bit of nuance and sometimes gloss over kind of important things. And because they're seeking, in many cases, to agglomerate a dedicated one kind of sound message that rings through the entire summary. Sometimes they don't do well with picking up points of disagreement and points of, but this, it wouldn't work like this if. So what I would say is, if you're constrained on time and it's not a very high importance decision for you to be making, then AI research summaries are probably really good, way better than nothing, right? And getting better all the time. But if it's something super important to you that you want to deeply be familiar with the nuances and the intricacies of research, reading an AI research summary is a really great place to start. But then I would work through some of the research myself and try to pick apart the nuances to get really, really familiar, because AI can't do all that heavy lifting for you just yet. Thoughts on semaglutide? Yes, I think semaglutide is the first concept proof of a true anorectic drug that comes with very limited side effects, is not stimulant-based like all the other anorectics were before, and they sucked. You don't adapt to it over time, seemingly. It just keeps working the same, which is insane for a drug and incredibly awesome. I think that if you properly manage semaglutide use, you have very, very few, very well, easily manageable downsides and huge upsides, in the sense that it can reduce your appetite so much and improve your health so much. And it helps you lose a ton of weight and a ton of fat. There's no research to support that it specifically targets muscle tissue or reduces your muscle a lot. But when you're on it, you should train with weights. Just like you lose weight anytime, you should train with weights so you keep all of your muscle and lose a bunch of your fat. So semaglutide is awesome. I think you should be using it with the guidance of a doctor, and that it's not for everyone. And there are other medications, tirzepatide specifically, and more on the pipeline to release, that are going to be amazing. But semaglutide by itself and the general class of anorectic drugs that are just starting to really show their stuff that it represents is just the bee's knees, and it's just great. And anyone who's anti-drug generally, I would just advise you to look at it as a tool in the toolbox. Do you always need a saw? No. Sometimes you need to cut some shit though, and the saw works. That's how to have semaglutide. Cuts off your body fat, not literally though. So those are my thoughts. I have tons more. We have tons of videos on that, and I'm sure we'll be making more in the future. Could you teach us how to love ourselves? Well, if you look at my progress channel, I do have a recent video about how I don't have any self-esteem, so I sure shit would not be the person to teach you that. But I can say some not so wise words about it. I think what I would do is two things if I wanted to love myself. One is I would sit down over a few sessions and have a real good think about, what is it about me that's so good, that's at all good, that's even remotely good, all the way up to I'm amazing at, or I really like this about myself. And just like on your phone or your notepad or just with voice, just start saying stuff that you think is pretty good about yourself. Like, okay, let's do this with me. I'm Mike. I think my head is shaped really cool, kind of like a cyborg. I love it. Just simple shit like that. Or, I'm really kind to people that need help, and I'll go out of my way to help people. That's not me. That's me making shit up. I'm a piece of shit. But if you're like that, that would be another thing to put in the box. And don't you worry about the negative at all. There's tons of negative. Everyone has negative. You just keep putting little bullet points in the positive box, and you just keep going until you can't think of any more. And the next day you try again and again and again. You get together a list of things that are good about yourself. Your next objective. Three things. One, get the list. Two, look over the list often. Probably every morning with your kind of morning meditation centering routine. My morning routine takes 8 hours, but I'm a millionaire. That's how it works. Go through that list. Read everything. Believe it. I am good at that. This is one of my talents. I am proud of the fact that I did that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Really let it sink in. Believe everything you're reading because it's true. And if your mind argues against, yeah, but you weren't as good as, Jim in the first grade, that's also true. But I'm pretty good. And keep it positive and just keep it going. Every day, a few times a week, just cycle then and read the stuff, believe it, read it, believe it, read it, believe it. And after a while, your brain's going to be like, all right, we're pretty sweet. And then the third thing to do is in your daily actions, not everything. We all flub, we all up. Sometimes we're not at our best, but try at least a little bit to be a slightly better version than your average historical version has been every time you have an interaction or anytime you're doing something. So all those good things you said about yourself and maybe some other ones you want to develop, lean into it. If your job is to be really courteous to staff, let's say that you work customer service at a car rental place and you really pride yourself on being ultra kind, even to the most persnickety customers. When you go in and you drink your coffee and get ready in the kind of the little back room there, and you're like, all right, time for 4 hours until my lunch break of helping people out. Really zone in on the goal, which is to do a real good job, even better than you usually do. Because you're a kind person and you can deal with anyone and be super kind and super calm. That's your challenge. And so before you go out of the break room and get to work, you're like an athlete. You're like, all right, let's really help out of it. Everyone we can. Let's be super kind and let's be on it. Top of mind. That's the priority. You go out there, you have 4 amazing hours of work where you just did the thing. The next morning when you're reading about all your attributes and like ability to help people and love helping people, you're going to look at that and you're going to be like, yeah, I'm honoring that. And over time, you try to be a little better over time and a little better flex to your strengths, develop new strengths. And not only are you practicing loving yourself, but you're simultaneously giving yourself more love. And after a few years of this shit, you're going to have pretty goddamn good self-esteem compared to where it used to be. And it won't be because you pretended you're like white bitch energy hippie girl yelling into the sun or whatever the hell people are doing nowadays for therapy. It wasn't there's no kind of revelatory moment. You're like, oh yeah, I am amazing. You cataloged your amazingness and you improved it. And every day you work to be that best version of yourself. That's going to cause some self-love. I almost guarantee it. Never worked for me. I don't think I'm incapable. I'm not capable of love because I'm Russian. Is that a joke? What are your thoughts on the upcoming enhanced games? I have tabulated a list of things I don't like about the enhanced games, and I haven't come up with anything yet. The list of what I do like about the enhanced games is all of it. I think that drug-free competition, specifically bereft of drugs that we know really gnarly to health and longevity, is a beautiful thing. Drug-tested bodybuilding and powerlifting and any other sport, I think, is wonderful and people should continue to pursue it. But I'm a real big fan of 2 things. Progress/technology and enhancement, all one thing, and freedom. And also a respect for others who might wanted to have gone a different way. So when I look at drug-free sport, I'm like, that's awesome. And when I look over, I'm like, where's the part of the sport where it's not drug-free, where people can, as adults, with full consent, with full understanding, with full knowledge of trade-offs, with full medical support and screening and testing for deleterious health outcomes and risks, is there a place where people can take drugs and compete against other drug users in sport? I mean, already the natural versus artificial thing is kind of pretend. Because when you're a drug-free bodybuilder, you take creatine and citrulline, beta-alanine, so potions and powders and molecules that go in your body. Good luck explaining to someone the nuances of why that's not really drugs. You also train with the RP hypertrophy app and literally uses like data science to help you train, which is kind of like the least natural thing. To be completely honest, most of your training, if you use the RP hypertrophy app, happens in like a server farm room in Iowa. Like, how the is that natural, right? There's no way our ancestors had access to that shit. And you're in a weight room, which is explicitly and artificially designed by humans to get you jacked. It's not natural at all. So the whole natural versus enhanced is already kind of like not super sound philosophically. But what I like to do is like the whole spectrum. And I say yes to everything as long as there's fairness. Fairness means just one thing. The drug people compete with the drug people. The drug-free people compete with the drug-free people. And I see a potential world in which there's 2 Olympics. Drug-free Olympics. And then it's easy testing there because as soon as you get popped once, you just get forever banned from competing in the drug-tested Olympics and get kicked over to the drug Olympics, the enhanced games, where you can take all the shit you want as long as the committee that gets your blood work and everything clears you. Because here's the thing, we don't just have to have people doing random shit. The games can test everyone's health like the week before. And if your hematocrit's too high or cholesterol's too low or whatever, good cholesterol too low, bad too high, they can just tell you like, a year ago, we sent you a paper with pre-screened standards. If you were at this health level or above on these 6 metrics, you can compete. If you were below on an average of 3 or more of these metrics, you can't compete. You just blew 4 of them. So you can't compete. Because that's a thing we can have happen, the amount of safety that we can have in an enhanced scenario is actually quite high. And it's all voluntary and everyone's an adult. And then the last thing I'll say is this. We really see what people want. Because people say they want drug-free sport, but then Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, and Mark McGwire swinging baseball bats. These can't take their eyes off of TV. What do you think that is? Drug-free? You must be out of your mind. People love pro wrestling. That's just not drug-free. People love American football. That's just the opposite of drug-free. In bodybuilding, drug-using bodybuilders have on average way more of a fan base than drug-free bodybuilders. That's not to say they're better, but the average person just wants to see more of a freak. When they're looking at freaks, they want to see freaks. So to people that are saying, oh, no, like we need just only drug-tested competition, I totally respect that position. But I think if we had both drug-tested and untested, but tested for health, we could really make everyone happy. Everyone has a competition to go to, and everyone has a competition to watch. And then based on watch rates, we see, well, what's actually more popular. And then whatever's more popular gets more media resources and attention and sponsorships, and whatever's less gets fewer. And I don't think it's a world in which one beats the other one out. I think even 20, 30, 40 years from now, there's a very decent chance we'll have drug-free human sport competition, but the enhanced people will just be doing wacky shit by then. If you like wacky shit, tune in. If you like humans in their raw form-ish, then tune into that. I think it's all winners. So that's it, right, Scott?
That's it.
Folks, I loved answering these questions. I can't wait to answer more questions if you have any. And if my question answers sucked, I'm really sorry. I barely have any idea of what's going on in my daily life, let alone your questions. But if this was fun, let us know in the comments, share, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.